What is up, my friends? It is Friday night, it is the late night agenda, and your weekend has officially started. We have a lot to get through over the next hour or so. Appreciate you guys coming in early as well. Do apologise the stream starting earlier than normal tonight, but you know I'm a boxing fan, so I've got to watch the AJ Ngannou fight. And of course I want to watch Joe Parker's Zhilei Zhang as well. So that's why we're at 7:30. But not only that, we were going to start the stream at 8, but well, the good news couldn't wait any longer. I had to get into it. We did the video earlier on where, of course, we were speaking about the possibility of Edwards and Hughes together. That's been going a little bit further now over the next hour or two, and we'll bring you news as to why that looks like the dream team could very well be in place soon enough. We'll also take you through, of course, a look ahead to the game against Man City. Just recorded the preview. It's going to go out at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Reason being, tomorrow's my day off, so no live content for us tomorrow. The preview will come out at 10 and there'll be another video at 6. So, look, good news travels fast, and good news, of course, is very much welcome. Sometimes I wonder, are these things done deliberately? And I have to say, I feel like it probably is. I feel like these leaks on the eve of the game against Manchester City, or the eve of the weekend against Manchester City, I don't feel like it's an accident. But I also love it. So, let's get to it. What am I talking about? What is the dream team? Well, it looks as if Michael Edwards will potentially be coming back to the club. I say potentially because I don't want to be the first person to go, it's happening. I'll allow that to somebody who has the information. I've been told a few things, of course, but I don't want to be that guy. I don't profess to have all the answers, but I can say quite confidently the band could be getting back together with a new member. So what do I mean by that? Well, it's been projected by lots of people today, Fabrizio Romano, Paul Joyce, other journalists, and we'll go through that Michael Edwards could be returning to the football club, but of course not in a sporting director role, in a more senior role. And Richard Hughes, well, it became pretty clear during the week where Richard Hughes was going to end up. When Roma was ruled out, when Newcastle was ruled out, and when it was said that it was November when he told Bournemouth he was going to be leaving, everything started to look a little bit like he was coming to Liverpool, didn't it? So, Jen, how are we? Thank you for gifting 5 Anfield Agenda memberships. Do a boxing watch along. I've said this for years. It's my selfish thing. I need something for me. So boxing is my thing. And no watch along. Me on the sofa, takeaway, watching the fight. That's what's going to be happening. Right, Athletic reported it, said Razzie Brazzie. Yes, it's been reported far and wide, and as I said, we will go through it. We will give you the details, and we'll work backwards. But I like to start off with a little bit of light-hearted banter as always. So, LFC Transfer Room quote tweeted something. I believe it was from Stephen Howson's account. Now, I'm not having to dig at Stephen Howson or anything here. I'm just talking about the fact that it's funny that some United fans seem to think that Michael Edwards could become United's director of football. They quote tweeted something from a year ago in one of the streams. I'm not sure if it was Stephen Howson or Stefford Paddock or all of them combined. I don't know. But it said, breaking news, United's new director of football, ? With a picture of Michael Edwards. I love when this happens. I love when we see all these things, you know. Will United get Gakpo? Will United get Fabinho? Will United get X, Y, or Z? Only for us to come in and go, hi, we have them. And that looks like to be the case at this moment with Michael Edwards. So, a couple of bits from The Athletic. One of the things they said is the owners have admired Michael Edwards' ability to make emotion out of the decision-making process, to take emotion out of the decision-making process, and the fact he was never shy to question or challenge senior figures at the club, including Jurgen Klopp. I'm in agreement with that. I love being challenged, personally. I never understood people that surround themselves with yes men. I love people challenging what I do. I love being questioned about what I do. And I'm sure the owners feel the same. And the fact that Michael Edwards had that backbone, is that the case? To stand up and speak about it, there we go. So we're going to go through that in more detail. We're also going to be giving you some quotes from a few journalists. This coming in, Fabrizio Romano says, exclusive! I wonder who paid him for that. No, I'm only joking. Not really. He said, exclusive. Liverpool owners want to give one last try to bring Michael Edwards back to the club. FSG want Edwards to take over football and put a new structure in place, including a new sporting director. Edwards currently shown no sign of saying yes, but Liverpool will try again. Yeah. Except that's going to change a little bit. Liverpool did meet with Edwards this week, and this is what has been reported. Michael Edwards, according to David Ornstein, close to agreeing a senior role with FSG, including oversight of Liverpool football operations. If he accepts, Richard Hughes is set to join Liverpool as sporting director. Not done, but talks advancing. So we'll get there. And as I've always said, I don't think FSG are stupid people. I've always said that. And they wouldn't keep knocking on Michael Edwards' door if they didn't feel that they could potentially change his mind or, attract him with a role that maybe is a bit more senior than maybe he expected. I can totally understand, and I've seen lots of people from Steve McManaman, John Aldridge, many others speak about why maybe Michael Edwards wouldn't be attracted back to a sporting director role. If you look at his previous comments before, Edwards spoke about a decade at a club, 10 years being where he feels like maybe it's the right time to step away and refresh. Well, this, I'm sure, would tempt him back because he will have control of footballing operations, right from over the director of football, new manager. He will be the one leading that search, and of course he would have a big say over all things transfer related. Now, lots of people in the chat are saying, do we really want somebody, or are we a little bit concerned about somebody having that much power at a football club? Well, no, because somebody's got to, and at least when there's a structure in place, you know who's responsible for what. And yes, when it was Jurgen Klopp here, Jurgen Klopp had a lot of the decision-making powers because he earned them over the time he was here. And I think the same has to be said of Michael Edwards. He will have earned the trust of the owners because of the decision-making process that he's put in place before. And also, as I said, he was the one pushing for Mohamed Salah over, I think it was Julian Brandt back in the day. And, well, that worked out quite well. So a couple of super chats to get stuck into. First up, Yorkshire Tea. I mean, I don't drink tea, but I heard it's great. Up the Reds, let's beat 115 charges FC. Yes indeed. Davino said, hey Craig, how are we? Hope the family is well. Can't wait for the Boston show. We're getting closer and closer every day. It's a great time to be a fan. Yeah, it is. I can't wait. Everything looks like it's potentially on track for a big celebration, right? And I'm going to be doing that with you guys in Boston. And Davino's also gifted a membership as well. Thank you, Davino. So, look, I guess I'm here to address any comments you guys might have. So if you've any questions, fire them into the chat. I could spend the next hour and a half talking about waffle and giving you my opinions on it. But my wife's distracting me here. She's sending me messages from the supermarket as if she doesn't know I'm working. And this is the joy of my life, by the way. Everybody does nothing in my house all day, and the second I turn the computer on, the doors start banging, the phone starts ringing, and people start asking questions. But I'm not going to complain because she's bringing me home a cheesecake, so it's all very well and good. What was that? You don't need a cheesecake? Shut your mouth. Of course I need a cheesecake. Right, so also, as you can see, top left corner, 23. That's all we need. 23 subscribers to hit 247,000. If you haven't hit the button, we really would appreciate it. And also, thank you for all of your support around the SofaScore app. We received a message from our friends at SofaScore to say that they're delighted with how many of you have taken up the opportunity to give the app a try. Simply scan that QR code in the bottom corner or use the link at the top of the chat. It is an incredible app. I've received feedback from our friends in the US of A saying that they would pay for the app. It's that good. It covers all sports. Any sport you can think of, SofaScore have you covered. If you haven't downloaded it, please do give it a try. As I said, every one of you that downloads it helps the channel financially, but I promise you, you won't be disappointed. Be it player ratings, the fastest goal alerts in the business, or just incredible coverage of so many sports, SofaScore is where you need to be at. Is Edwards the new sporting director? Said Imran. No. He wouldn't return in that role because he feels like he's outgrown that role. So remember a couple of weeks ago, or maybe you don't, Imran, there was a story that said if if Richard Hughes is Liverpool's new director of football, that's probably an indication that Michael Edwards is on the way. So we did see the news during the week that Richard Hughes had indeed told Bournemouth that he was going to be leaving. And we also seen the news that it wasn't going to be for Newcastle and it wasn't going to be for Roma, which were two other clubs that he was linked with. Richard Hughes played in Italy when he was younger, speaks fluent Italian, and the director of football job at Roma was one that a couple of people thought maybe he would take. Obviously, he turned that down, didn't take the opportunity to replace Dan Ashworth at Newcastle. So by process of elimination, people were starting to go, Liverpool perhaps? Well, we didn't know. But today, the news from David Ornstein and other journalists starts to tie this picture together. It looks like the dream team is going to be there. Michael Edwards at the very top of footballing operations. Richard Hughes coming in as the sporting director. And then, of course, a manager. Now, there is some debate amongst Liverpool fans on social media. Some believe that Ruben Amorim might be the preferred choice of Michael Edwards. I don't know at this moment in time, but I do know, and you know, that Ruben Amorim is certainly somebody that Liverpool are looking at as a potential to come in and replace Jurgen Klopp. We all know who the number one target is. That is, of course, Xabi Alonso. Pranav said, Hughes brought Iriola to Bournemouth last summer. Iriola is represented by the same management agency as Xabi Alonso. There we go. We love that information, Pranav. Thank you. So look, I've told you for this whole week, don't listen to the noise around the Bayern Munich side of it. Just ignore it. I've tried to say, I know it's easier said than done a lot of the time, when you've got journalists constantly saying this is happening, that's happening, and Liverpool are quiet. But we've been quiet in this process for a reason, as I've said all along. We've been respectful to Bayer Leverkusen and Xabi Alonso's wishes, which is to allow the man to concentrate on winning the Bundesliga. But meanwhile, we've seen Florian Plettenberg and some other journalists jumping up and down trying to make out like Xabi Alonso was destined for Bayern. Well, Mr. Flip-Flop, which is what we internally laugh about when we talk about Mr. Florian Plettenberg, today, the flippity-floppity has not stopped it. Sorry. He hasn't stopped with the changing and moving, and this is what he had to say today. As exclusively revealed a few days ago, he loves to put in the word exclusive, doesn't he, Plettenberg? I can exclusively talk nonsense as well, Florian, but hey-ho. As exclusively revealed by the thoughts inside Florian Plettenberg's head, Roberto De Zerbi, he put the word again in, like all of his lies have been exclusives. They're exclusive, I guess, because they're exclusively bullshit. But either way, he said, Roberto De Zerbi is on the list of FC Bayern as the 44-year-old is a candidate if things don't work out with Xabi Alonso. Max Erbel, a big fan of De Zerbi due to his style of football and talent development, is coming in as their sporting director or CEO. And Jose Mourinho, a big personality and great manager, but currently not a topic of discussion at Bayern. So, again, lots of the talky, lots of the mouthy, but again, not much of the substance there from Plettenberg. And like I've said all along, in my opinion, it's not even a competition. It's not even a debate. It's not even a race. If the job's offered to Alonso, if he decides to depart Leverkusen, he will be the next Liverpool manager. That's my take on it. If he decides not to leave Leverkusen, then maybe Liverpool look to Ruben Amorim. But if it comes down to a shootout between Liverpool and Bayern Munich, there is no doubt in my mind that it will be Xabi Alonso coming to Liverpool. But let Plettenberg keep digging that hole for himself bigger and bigger and bigger, and let him stand in his echo chamber of Bayern fans, quoting, retweeting and liking everything that tries to in any way say what he said makes sense. It's nonsense. He knows it, you know it, I know it. And media manipulation, well, it's been in full effect from that side. Is Konate fit, said Godwin. We don't know, and Jurgen doesn't even know yet. In his press conference earlier on, Jurgen Klopp was indeed asked about Ibrahim Konate, and he said Ibrahim Konate told him that it was fine at the moment. He felt like if he had have run again or sprinted further, may have caused him more problems, so they took him off as a precaution. Jurgen also said that Liverpool are going to send them for a scan, or maybe that scan's already taken place, but Klopp also said he didn't have the results of that scan yet. So your guess is as good as mine on Ibrahim Konate. Now, I did include him in my predicted 11 for the preview, but I also put in the caveat that if he isn't available, it will be Jarell Quansah to come in. Lost 4-0 to Luton as well, said Morganski. Yes, I mean, look, for me, that result last night for Roberto De Zerbi against Roma was a big jot in his copybook. It was a big Because I looked at that game this way. He was going back over to his home country, a country that he, of course, loves and spoke about wanting to go back and manage in. But he went over there and had his backside handed to him by a fairly average Roma team by 4-0. And that isn't that isn't a great look. But it also told us something else, that the race for those coveted points to coefficient points, well, it's going to come down to the wire. And with that in mind, we do have a couple of graphics we want to show you. Again, credit to Sky Sports, where we took some of these bits of information from. They have a really good article about this on their website. But this is the current state of play for the coefficient race. So as you can see at the minute, Italy top it with 6 out of 7 teams still remaining in Europe and a coefficient score of 16,571 points. Germany currently occupies second place on the list with 4 teams out of 7 still playing in Europe and 15,500 coefficient points. And then in third place you can see England, 6 out of 8 teams currently still in European competition with 14,625 points. Now what you need to remember here, folks, is the top 2 places will get an additional spot in the Champions League. Meaning, if those stayed as they were, then only top 4 in England would get Champions League football. But it isn't over yet. And the boffins at Opta, well, they've ran the numbers on it. And you might remember I showed you a graphic a few weeks ago that showed quite how likely it was that English clubs got a European place. Well, those percentages have fallen a little bit, but they're still favourites. So let's have a look. This is what Opta reckon will happen. These are the odds or chances of these clubs getting the extra places of these leagues. So currently they believe that the Italian league has 96.7% chance of getting an extra Champions League spot. So nailed on at this point. You can see that Italy are going to get an extra Champions League place. But then it comes down to England battling with Germany. And Opta reckon that the English clubs have a 9% chance of getting an extra spot, meaning 5th place in the Premier League, whether that be Spurs, United, Villa or anybody else, would get a Champions League spot. And they reckon Germany have a 29.5% chance of getting the spot. So even though things aren't all rosy in the European garden for English clubs at the minute, it does still look very likely that they will take 2nd place on the coefficients list and 5th place will get that Champions League spot. Pranav, thank you for another super chat, mate. Said, with Edwards coming back, does it now confirm the rumours that he left because of Klopp? Difficult to say without being inside the situation, Pranav. Did they butt heads at times? I would expect that to be the case, but I would expect that to be the case in any healthy relationship like that. As I said at the start of this stream, Klopp earned the right to have that power and influence. And if you had to back one of the two, and I'm not saying somebody did try to back one of the two, you'd always steer with the manager that's delivering you the silverware. But it does show quite how highly Michael Edwards is regarded by John W. Henry and those at FSG, that they have consistently wanted to bring him back and have gone as far as to inventing a role here where he's overseeing all football operations. So yeah, I don't know, but it also doesn't really matter. You know, the rebuild in the summer was done quite well, but we all know how highly Michael Edwards is regarded in our fan base as well. So if he does come back in, which it looked likely, happy days. So much for being the best league in the world. Why do you always take a negative from everything? Dave, I don't get it, mate. So much for being the best league in the world. Well, it is the best league in the world. It's the most watched league in the world. It drives the most money in the world. But it's not our fault that some clubs have fallen away in Europe, right? So Manchester City will go deep in the Champions League. Arsenal will probably turn the game around against Porto. Liverpool will go deep in the Europa League, if not win it. And Villa probably do the same. So I know you said so much for being the best league in the world, Dave, but there is a very, very realistic opportunity that English clubs could take the clean sweep of European competitions this year. We could see 115 Charges FC winning the Champions League again, Liverpool winning the Europa League again, and Villa winning the Conference League again. That sounds like a pretty strong league to me. John Barton, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, mate. Appreciate you. Appreciate your support. Are you doing the preview today or tomorrow? It's already recorded, Ryan. It's coming out at 10 a.m. in the morning, mate, because tomorrow's my day off, so 10 a.m. in the morning, the preview will be out. Edwards is a mastermind to Robbie Salmon. Well, look, it's certainly good. I love the idea of Edwards, Hughes, and a new manager. It certainly feels like, as I mentioned all along, FSG have had it in hand. But until we get the official confirmations, which we believe will happen in the next few days, let's wait and see. But it's good news ahead of what is a blockbuster weekend, right? Last night, for just have a snapshot to how we were feeling last night at one point. We thought we might have no Canade. We thought we might have no Joe Gomez. And we were unsure what the future looked like with regards to the manager, the CEO, the sporting director, not CEO, the sporting director, and the football CEO. A lot of those things have been cleared up for us. Gomez, not injured, fully ready to go. Canade, maybe a little bit better than we thought. And the situation with a football CEO or sporting director looks much more positive as well. Villa had a tough game against Ajax though. Yeah, and they drew 0-0 away from home. And you would fully expect them to turn over Ajax when they get back to Villa Park. So I'd see them progress. West Ham, unfortunately, their result, that 1-0 loss to Freiburg, that skewed it a little bit as well. And of course, Roma whooping Brighton wasn't a good look. Does anybody else feel that there's a bit of a desperation in the media to, again, ignite some type of rivalry between Liverpool and Manchester City? I know that they want it to happen. I know that that's their wet dream, but I can speak on behalf of myself and most of the Liverpool fans that I know in that I don't care how much City win, how many trophies they have, how many players they sign. I will never think of them as a rival. I think of them as a pest. I think of them as a pain in the backside. But not for the reasons I would think of Arsenal or United, who I actually consider genuine rivals. It feels like they want it to be the case. And they keep trying to bring up the bus incidents from 2020 or 2016. They keep trying to talk about this, that and the other. Look, this is all you need to know about Manchester City. One, tin pot club nobody cares about. Their numbers, in my opinion, are very questionable on everything from platforms to ticket sales to what they pay people. Also, I would go as far as to say, look what happens when a big club wins a trophy, like Liverpool or Manchester United. Streets are adorned with fans, can't move, even during COVID times. When City win it, nobody cares. Because, and I can't say this clearly enough, nobody cares. Nobody gives a damn. We all know it's tin pot. We all know it's questionable. But we don't see in the media, again, anybody talking about it. Last night, I sat, as I always do, about 10:30, and I watched back pages on Sky Sports. Jason Burt of The Telegraph was there, and I think it was Jonathan Liu. I think that was the other gentleman's name. And they were talking about the Haaland and Trent situation. And Jason Burt said something along the lines of, well, I don't blame Haaland for pushing back. I mean, Trent has some cheek saying that it means more to Liverpool. How does he know that? Well, Jason, we know it because, one, you can see that Liverpool actually have fans. So when we win something, it does mean a bit more. I know it's a cheesy catchphrase and all, but the reason nobody cares or defends City is because everybody knows that City's achievements are tainted. But the media won't talk about that. They didn't talk about it last night again. I'm starting to actually genuinely wonder, are Sky employees not allowed to talk about it? Now, I don't know the answer to that. But how can you sit there and do two things? Profess to love the sport and then fluff Manchester City. Those two things are not compatible with what we know. 115 charges. 115. This is not spoken about enough. And these aren't charges. They've already been charged. They've already been found guilty. This is their appeal and their hearing. So, before we all circle jerk and talk about how great Manchester City are, let's see if it's tainted. Because we all know how they got to where they are. So when they're found guilty of some of those charges, and I believe they will be, maybe not all of them, but I believe that they will be found guilty of some of them, then let's see what the media do. Then let's see if Sky grow a backbone. Then let's see if these journalists start doing their damn jobs. I've been asked so many times by people, so many times, why does nobody talk about it? Why is it not in every conversation? And the answer is we all have our theories, right? We don't know. But I know that somebody like me or you or a United fan, or I don't know, pick a fan, an Arsenal fan, a City fan, doesn't matter. Well, not a City fan. We look at football and we care about it. We've loved it our entire life. We love it after Klopp goes, we love it after Pep goes, we love it. But we're not idiots. And don't piss in our tent and tell me it's raining. I can see how City got to where they are. I can see the social media followers that they claim to have that, ironically, a lot of them aren't very active. We can see the sponsorship revenues. We've seen the emails. We've seen it all. But yet you still take us for idiots. You've all lost credibility to the football fans in the world. How you can profess to love the sport and not be disgusted by these charges. This could be the biggest, most stunning set of cheating in English sport in my life. And it's not mentioned about. But let me ask and finish up with one more question. Whoever's watching this video, whether you're a Liverpool fan, a United fan, an Arsenal fan, a West Ham fan, it doesn't matter. Just answer me this one question. Do you think if it was Manchester United or Liverpool who had these 115 charges against them, that it wouldn't be the front page and back page of every paper, every topic of conversation, every goddamn day? It would be. Now ask why. Because they actually have fans. They actually drive traffic. They actually generate clicks. So trying to build up Manchester City into something that we all know they aren't is fooling nobody. But sticking two fingers up to the sport that you profess to love while speaking about the fact that Manchester City are marvellous, underdog story, shame on you. And I've said it over and I'm going to continue to say it. Shame on you. All of you. We won't forget. Football won't forget whose interests you were looking after, because it wasn't the game. Craig, if you're a City fan, how would you feel? It's a tough one to answer, Danny, because obviously I know only too well that there are City fans who are hardcore, have gone down through the divisions. We spoke about this on the stream many times. I do not class all City fans the same. But there are also those fans who are willingly just ignoring things because it suits them. You don't want to hear things about your club that are damaging. You don't want to hear things that maybe make you question it. So I guess I can't answer the question. But I know one thing. If Liverpool were taken over by, I don't know, a state, and Liverpool all of a sudden had all of this glory on top of it, I know it wouldn't mean as much to me. I know I wouldn't enjoy it as much. And I know I'd probably, bit by bit, week by week, fall out of love with the game. That's my honest answer. I can't say it hasn't happened, but we talked about takeovers before. We talked about Qatar, we talked about others, and I've always had the same stance. This is the thing that is destroying a lot of people's love of football. And I've seen a couple of West Ham accounts and stuff saying things like, I hope City beat Liverpool this weekend. I'm sick of their fans. Again, how can you hate us so much that you would rather football lose its soul and that potential cheating is rewarded just because you don't like Liverpool fans? Weird. Like, you also say, I love the sport. Bullshit. Those two things are not compatible. So, one more thing on the coefficient points before we finish up. Here are what gathers the points. Here's how you score the points in the coefficient, just in case you're ever wondering. Because I know I was wondering, and as I said, this is a good piece on Sky. And again, you can see here, I'm not just doing a hit job on Sky. I love Sky for a lot of stuff. But other stuff, it infuriates me. So this type of stuff, this is the reporting from Sky that I can get on board with. Breaking down the coefficient things, talking about the numbers, proper reporting. And this is what the coefficient points come from. So in the Champions League, the Europa League and the Europa Conference League, a win is worth 2 points. A draw is worth 1 point. Bonus point systems in the Champions League, participating in the group stage gets your league 4 points. Round of 16, an extra 5 points for your National League, and quarter-final, semi-final and final all get one more UEFA coefficient point. In the Europa League, Group winners get 4 points, group runners-up get 2 points, and the round of 16 quarter-final and semi-finalists all receive 1 additional point. And the Conference League, it is the very same, somewhat the same, Group winners only get 2 points. And then it's 1 point for the runners-up and 1 point for the semi-final and finalists. So these are the things that matter when we look at those rates for the extra Champions League places. So, Charlie put this in the comments. I'm assuming it's correct, or I would have heard from somebody that it wasn't. I'm going to read this out exactly as Charlie has written it. Liverpool's owners, FSG, are hoping to confirm the return of former sporting director Michael Edwards in the coming days. And he credits that to Paul Joyce. And as I've told you wonderful people before, when Mr. Paul Joyce tweets, writes, we listen, because he's generally on the money. It feels like a great day today. It does. It feels like a day where we're starting to see the plan put in place. When Jurgen Klopp announced his departure, it rocked all of us. It rocked us to our core as football fans, as Liverpool fans, and it was tough to look at what the future might look like, what things might be when Klopp departs. But now we can see that our owners are once again showing that they are more than capable of recruiting the right people. And again, I hope this shows that as much as I criticise FSG or Sky or anybody else, I'm not afraid to credit them either. I'm not somebody that lives in a box. I don't just have one opinion on somebody and that's the end of it, other than Manchester City. I'm somebody who lives a life where I can see the nuances of these things. And our owners, as much as I feel like they're penny pinching and can back the managers more, the recruitment and the way they've put people in place at their football club, I can only admire because it's had the results. So the idea of Michael Edwards coming in to look after football operations, Richard Hughes as a sporting director, and a new manager, brilliant. The plan's starting to come together. One of the things that we heard when we spoke about the likes of Xabi Alonso is that it might be a bit of a deterrence if Liverpool don't have that structure in place before they speak to a manager. And that's why we've always heard that the priority is for Liverpool to put the sporting director into place. They will form part of who goes and approaches the new manager, and they will form a big part of that decision-making process. So still right now, I feel like in the summertime, we will see Xabi Alonso, Michael Edwards, and Richard Hughes as the 3 footballing wise men, if you want to say that. But if it doesn't go to plan, and Alonso decides to stay put, or Plettenberg was right, which again I'm very doubtful about, then there are other options, and Ruben Amorim looks like the most likely option for FSG to turn to if indeed it doesn't work out with Xabi Alonso. John Power, how are you, John? Said, hi Craig, I'm excited and anxious about the game on Sunday, but I still fancy us to win 3-1 to the mighty Reds. Oh mate, I won't lie mate, there's a reason I took tomorrow off, and it's because I'd be no use to any of you if I was streaming tomorrow. I am already a bag of emotion about this game. Nerves haven't quite got there yet, John, but I am already a bag of emotion because the rational side of my brain says, look, Craig, either way, win or lose or draw, the title race isn't over one way or the other. But I tell you what, getting a victory wouldn't half stick the dagger into Manchester City's title aspirations. And I hope as well, encourage Arsenal, because I'd love after the international break for Manchester City to be out of this title race, for Liverpool to have beaten them and then Arsenal to go and beat them. And then we go head to head with Arsenal. That would be a title race that I would have a lot of respect for, because I've nothing but admiration for Arsenal. I think they're a great football club that trying to do things in the right way. So yeah, bring it on. Bring it on. But what a week. We did say coming into this week, or 2-week period for the international break, that the season could be there or thereabouts by the end of it. So we've progressed in the FA Cup. We have an away trip to Manchester United coming up, last game before the international break. And the good news? Well, the good news is we've pretty much already won the Europa League last 16 tie. 5-1 away from home. Jurgen Klopp can put out Adrian. He can put out Jadon Danns. He can put out Lewis Kumas. He can put out Bobby Clark. He can put out a younger, more inexperienced team at home and rest the boys for the game against Manchester United, which would mean we have the guts of a week to rest up for that game. It's gone perfect. We went over and we got the job done in Prague. Progressed and have picked up maximum points in the league since we lost to Arsenal. It's all set up. It is all set up for a massive, massive weekend. Good news is even if we do somehow lose with City playing Arsenal next, we could go top again pretty quickly. Yeah, look, there's lots of permutations, of course. And I will say, one way or the other, we won't be out of the title race no matter what happens. If we lost, worst case scenario, okay, City are ahead of us. But, as you've rightly pointed out, they have a tricky game coming up as well against Arsenal afterwards. So, yeah, a lot of football still to be played, but yeah, I love it. I love we're in this position at this point of the season. Who do you think has the toughest run-in for the title? I think right now, City are in a very tough run of games. And if they can come through this game, the Arsenal game, I think they've Spurs away as well. If they can manoeuvre the next 5 games and be top of the league, City win the league, in my opinion. Honestly, I think if they get through this run of games, I think they do it. But right now, I would say we have a difficult enough end to the season. Obviously, Aston Villa away is a difficult game. But I think City have the hardest run in. I don't say we've got the easiest, but I'm happy with our run in. It's manageable. Barry is saying that if we get 4 more subscribers and get to 247,000, Barry is saying that he will give 20 Anfield Agenda memberships if we do that. Love that, Barry. Thank you, mate. So yes, if you haven't, please do subscribe. And again, Barry's going to give 20 memberships. What have we got? If Alonso becomes the coach next season, do you think Trent should play right wing back or central midfield? Central midfield. I think when you've got a player with the ball playing ability of Trent, centrally is where you want him to be. But again, it's difficult to have the conversation without knowing what this midfield looks like or what system it's going to look like. I think Connor Bradley is probably more suited to a right side wing back role. And then if you look across on the other side, well, Costas, Robbo, more than capable of fulfilling that role. Who do you want as replacements for Matip and Thiago? Said Albert Joe. Francie. Inacio, I think, on the left side of the defence. Maybe if, let's say, Alonso comes in, perhaps he returns for Hincapié. Perhaps he doesn't. I don't know. But I like the idea of Inacio. I like him. And with regards to Thiago, it's a difficult one because I could sit here and say I'd love us to sign I don't know, let's like somebody like Joshua Kimmich or somebody like Nicolo Barella. But I don't think Liverpool should need to spend that much money. We do need an experienced 26 to 28 year old, in my opinion, in midfield. But we don't need to break the bank to do it. So it's a difficult question. And at this moment in time, I don't know. I don't know the answer, because I don't know what the budget priorities are. If you look at the journalists over the last week or so, a lot of people believe that the priorities are centre-back, full-back and a forward. So if that's the case, well, then you'd have to say the budget for the midfield position, if we did need to bring one in, would probably be substantially less. On top of that, you've got Tyler Morton at Hull. You've got Fabio Carvalho about to come back as well at the end of the season. So maybe the club look at it that way and think, well, with Bobby Clark coming through, with McConnell coming through, maybe we're good as we are. And maybe they think Endo is that experienced player. So, when Craig says be calm, I'll be calm in the future, said Jack. I'm just glad that people are finally, in our community, because outside our community I don't really care, but inside our community I'm glad people are just seeing that I try to be as balanced and honest as I can. Sometimes I hear stuff that I could run on here and say, but I can't 100% stand over it, so I'd feel guilty. But this, I think, yes, be calm, relax. Sometimes the people with a lot to say have really the least bit of information to say, and Plettenberg and a lot of other people jumping up and down over in Germany, they're making noise, but there's no substance to it, in my opinion. And Barry has, of course, been a man of his word, but don't let that stop us. Please do keep hitting that subscribe button as well. Less than, well, exactly 3,000 to go until we hit 250,000. Amazing, thank you. And thank you, Barry, as well, for being a man of your word, and of course for just being an incredible fella. Mark gifted a membership as well. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that, mate. Very kind of you. Has it been confirmed when pre-season matches are on? Some of them, George, yes. There has been a confirmation that Liverpool are going to be playing Manchester United and Arsenal over in the United States. If memory serves me right, I think the Arsenal game is the last day of July and the Manchester United game is the 4th of August, something like that. Philadelphia and, of course, the Giants and Jets Stadium in New York for the other game. So, yeah, there you are. So that's all I know about preseason so far. Who are you to say sell Gakpo what you mean? I don't know if that's aimed at me, but I've never said sell Gakpo, so I've no idea if that's aimed at me or not. But I definitely never said sell Cody Gakpo. Never uttered those words. In fact, I've said many times, give the guy a break, give him space, give him time. So again, if it was aimed at me, I wait for your apology. If it wasn't aimed at me, no problem. Continue your conversation in the chat. James Kincaid, absolute legend, James. Thank you, my friend. He's gone and pulled a Barry and O'Brien, hasn't he? And gifted 20 memberships. Thank you so much, mate. That's incredibly kind of you. Mahad said, can I have a shout out? Of course you can, sir. Welcome in. Great to have you with us. Hope you hit the subscribe button. And welcome in, mate, as I said. Would you love to have Kvaratskhelia? No, I don't rate him. I don't rate him that highly. I haven't seen enough consistency from Kvaratskhelia at all. So I think there's far better value players out there. And look, I think Rafael is infinitely better as well. But both of them you're probably talking about in excess of €100 million. Just in work, Craig, a little late. Can I get a roundup? Absolutely, sir. So, it's a good news day. So let's start off with some words that came from David Ornstein of The Athletic. He said Michael Edwards close to agreeing a senior role with FSG, including oversight in football operations. If he accepts, Richard Hughes is also set to join Liverpool as sporting director. Not done yet, but talks advancing. Some more stuff on this. The owners always admired Michael Edwards' ability to take emotion out of the decision-making process and the fact he was never shy to question and challenge other senior figures, including Jurgen Klopp. So again, that comes in from The Athletic. Romano quote-tweeted one of his own tweets where he spoke about Liverpool want to get Edwards back, but he neglects the part where he said Edwards has shown no sign of wanting the move, and now he's putting a red dot, a sand timer emoji, and LFC. He's gone full on Plettenberg there and taken what he wants out of what he said. He said Edwards has shown no sign of saying yes, and then he's saying yes. And somehow Romano's crediting himself for that. Okay, whatever. Either way, I don't really care who takes the credit as long as it happens. Ben Kelly has quote tweeted David Ornstein saying, I'm fascinated by how he's coming back immediately as Klopp leaves. And that is a topic of conversation because a guy underneath it has said, well, they didn't get on. It's pretty well known. Klopp felt he was in a stage in his career where he shouldn't be allowed to decide who stays in his team and who doesn't, which is fair considering he was doing the work. Look, I don't know if Michael Edwards and Jurgen Klopp butted heads, but I would imagine most people in these type of roles butt heads. It's not always going to be sunshine, lollipops and Skittles when you're at a football club. You will disagree on decisions, but as mentioned here at the end from The Athletic, the owners of Liverpool have always been very what's the word I'm looking for here? Probably fond of Michael Edwards. This coming in as well from our friends LFC Transfer Room via at Lewis Steele have said, sources close to Richard Hughes said that he will go wherever his good friend Michael Edwards goes. Wonder where that'll be. Hi Craig, why early stream? Boxing. Yeah, I want to watch Joseph Parker, Zhilei Zhang, and I want to watch Anthony Joshua against Francis Ngannou. And both of those main fights probably start somewhere between 9:30 and 11. So that's why I want to enjoy, unwind this evening and watch the box. And also, I wanted to get on and talk about this news quickly. We were going to go at 8 o'clock, but we decided to push it forward to 7:30 because the good news was coming out about the Edwards and Richard Hughes situation. LFC Giant said, love your content, keep it up. Appreciate you, bro, thank you. As I said though, do, my friends, drop a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. And don't forget to check out our friends at SofaScore. I was quite surprised actually. I never even clicked at the top of SofaScore to look at the other sports until today. I knew that they had all the best football information. I knew that, of course, they have their scoring system. They have the fastest goal alerts in the business. But when I clicked at the top today and looked, oh my God, even some sports I've never heard of, they're covering. So for that app to be free and for you guys to be able to help the channel out simply by downloading it with our link, because we do receive a small fee for each one of you that downloads the link. You know, I'm always transparent here on the channel. And it means a lot. If you could do it, it really would help us out. So use the QR code on the screen or the link at the top of the chat. And our friends at SofaScore have been really pleased at how many of you have so far downloaded that app. And you'll see not just ourselves, but many other content creators pushing SofaScore at the minute because, quite simply, it is streets above. It is. It just is. It is top notch. And it's run by a really good group of people as well that we've got to know over the last 6 months or so. And they're really good people. So if you enjoy football, if you want the best app in the business to do it, download SofaScore with our link pinned to the top of the chat or is the QR code on your screen. Right. Who do you think's going to win, AJ or Francis? I think AJ stops him. I think somewhere between 4 and 7, Joshua wins. If he doesn't, I mean, on behalf of boxing, not a great look. But also, look, Ngannou's a top dude. Whatever happens, Ngannou's a winner. Always. You know, what he's been through to get to this point in his life. And he's getting big paydays. And he's earned it and he deserves it. And I love Ngannou. How could you not like and admire the man? But I want boxing to win. Just letting you know, Alfie the dog is doing great and still going on about the shout out you gave him. Nice. Love it. Good stuff. What's this? Do you think Kelleher goes in the summer? So there's two ways to answer that question. There's the Liverpool fan in me who wants to say no, keep him at the football club. But there's also the realist in me that thinks, I don't think Kelleher's stock will ever be higher and hence his value higher. So I think both for Liverpool from a selling perspective and for Caoimhín from maybe the level of club that he can now realistically go to, I think it's the right decision if he's sold in the summer. For both, for the club and for him. But am I going to be upset if he isn't? Not at all. What a number 2 to have at the football club. So yeah, look, he's earned the right to make this decision, whatever the decision is best for his career. And I'm still incredibly proud that we have an Irish goalkeeper at the club and that he's performing as well as he has done recently. Barry, thank you for the super chat, mate. Said, hi Craig, not looked forward to a game this much since Champions League final 2 years ago. Hope we get a better result and then if we are on it, we can do it for sure. Enjoy tomorrow off before the big one. Thank you, Barry. I'm buzzing. Absolutely buzzing. Cannot wait for the game on Sunday. That's why we're starting early as well. Our watch along is going to start 90 minutes before the game, so it's a 3:45 game. Just want to remind everybody about that because Merseyside Police were requested to move the game forwards from 4:30 to 3:45, so we'll be live from 2:15 here on Sunday. And to everyone that's also subscribed to our Clips channel, absolute legends, thank you. Clips channel's flying at the minute. People were asking where the social media reaction video was after last night's game. It is up on the Clips channel. That's where we're now giving it its home. So it's a unique piece of content for the Anfield Agenda Clips channel. And we have a few more ideas up our sleeve as well. SofaScore downloaded. Boom. Mark Bell. Love that, mate. Thank you. It really does mean a lot. I've been using the SofaScore for a few years already, but not the app. Well, Mark, as you've said, you've just downloaded it, so well in. Kelleher valuation has increased, said Imran. Yeah, we kind of, let's put it to vote. I like when you guys have your say in it. So let's ask, what is Kelleher's valuation? Right, so okay, I'm just putting a few valuations in. 1 second. And one more. Okay. Right, poll is up. And simply asked, what is Kelleher worth now? 20 million, 25 million, 30 million, or 35 million plus? Me, I think somewhere around the 25 million, maybe up to 30 with add-ons. But I tell you what's most important for me, a buyback clause or a first refusal option. Because let's say, I don't know, Alisson had 2 or 3 years left and Liverpool looked to bring in another keeper. It'd be nice at least knowing that we had first refusal to try and bring Queeveen back if needs be. Why would you sell Kelleher? The replacement will be nowhere near as good. For him, it's not because anybody wants to sell Kelleher, but remember, this is the guy's career. And footballers' careers are short. And he's now 25 years of age. He's going to get to a point, I think he has to make that decision. Now, the club turned down an offer, I believe, from Forest in the summer. That wasn't at the valuation. But I think it's important that we respect him in this as well. You know, if Queeveen wants to stay at Liverpool, I'm sure there will be a contract put in front of him very quickly. But if he does want to go and establish himself as a number one somewhere, I think we have to respect that as well. Ian said, just downloaded SofaScore and signed up. Looks like a really good app at a quick flick through. Thank you. It is. It's brilliant. And we're also going to be using it the day after games from the City game onwards, where we're going to be looking at the scores, the guys' game, breaking down the scores and asking, do we agree, do we disagree, what other metrics and statistics can we use from the app inside the videos? Lots is the answer. So it will form part of our content as well. So yes, do download SofaScore with the link pinned to the top of the chat or the QR code on the screen. Alan Lakini, or Ailen Lakini, hope I pronounced the name okay, mate. Of course you can have a shout out. Apologies if I didn't get it right. Who would you go for if Kelleher leaves? Oh, tough question. You see, it's a very tricky answer because you've got to get somebody who, one, is going to be okay with being number two for a few years, but two, also has the potential of maybe becoming number one. So, like, Trafford at Burnley, he's a great goalkeeper, but no way he's going to come somewhere and sit in the bench. So it is a difficult one. I don't know. I really don't know, because I don't know the mindset of a keeper to come in knowing they're going to be number two. I can't see Liverpool going out to get somebody that they're going to say publicly will be competing with Alisson. I don't feel Alisson needs or deserves to be on their mind like that. But look, in a dream scenario, maybe Kelleher fancies the battle and maybe he thinks, I'll stay at Liverpool. Brilliant. If that's the case, sign him up. Amanda, thank you, Amanda, for joining Anfield Agenda FC. Appreciate you. If Ray is 30 million, he's got to be more given his age, said Adam Christmas. That's what the poll's for, sir. And by the way, we ran this poll in the summertime, I think, and the answer was about 20 million. So you can see how his valuation is shot up here from the consistent run of games and, of course, the consistent performances we've seen from Queeveen. What's this from Mark sending me? 1 sec. Sorry, I'm just reading out a tweet that Mark sent me here. This comes from Anfield Edition, who have credited Paul Joyce, and they say, Edwards would return in an overarching senior position with Richard Hughes arriving as sporting director and help oversee the post-Jurgen Klopp era. Hughes' departure from Bournemouth was confirmed this week. It does look like things are falling into place in that regard, you know, until we get the absolute confirmation, but it does look like it's going to be Edwards and Hughes at this point, which is amazing. Just downloaded the app, thank you. Remember as well, if you are downloading the app, please do use our link or the QR code. It is important because it's a tracking link. Obviously our friends at SofaScore can monitor our performance. A few of you are saying you downloaded it. So appreciative, honestly. Thank you so much. It means a lot. If Nico Williams was 17 million, surely Kelleher's 35. Good. Yes. I'm not going to sit here and criticise anybody who thinks that Kelleher's worth a lot of money. Brilliant. I'm a proud Irishman. I'm over the moon with that. Nor do I, the way, want to push back against anybody who says keep him. I'm not trying to wish him away. I'm just trying to be realistic about it, you know. At some point, he deserves that start as a number one somewhere. Pitaluga is promising. Don't say that to St. Patrick Athletic fans at the minute. He's had a couple of howlers, I believe, since he's been at Pats. But he's a young goalkeeper as well, so still got plenty of time on the side. Am I nervous about Man City on Sunday, said Nick. Not about them, but about the result and what it means to our league title race. I don't want to go into another Man City rant because even I'm getting fed up with them, but I'm only worried about the 3 points from us. That's it. I'm only concerned about our title credentials, and I feel like, in a weird way, up until now, nobody's really expected us or Arsenal, outside of our own fan bases, to do it. A lot of people just think automatically, New Year, January, Manchester City turn it on, they walk to a league title. Pretty much every pundit, journalist I've seen expects Manchester City to go and win the league title. And I like that. I like us and Arsenal kind of just going about our business and everyone's still writing us off. Good. We'll continue doing what we do. And if we beat them at the weekend, maybe then we start to get a bit more respect. Maybe then we start to get spoken about in a way that befits our league position. Because we've been top of the league now for a while. And still people just assume City are going to walk to the league title. I was going to say I don't understand it, but I just don't think City are as fearsome as they have been in recent years. It's just my own take on it. They don't strike me as being as imposing. What does that guy from Southampton start for and not Kelleher? As simple as this, NC. There was a situation where Kelleher was injured and Gavin Bazunu was playing regularly and came in and took the number one spot for Ireland. And he plays week in and week out. And Gavin Bazunu has played really well for Ireland. We're very blessed to have two very, very good young goalkeepers. But with a new manager coming into the Irish setup, the number one spot again is up for grabs, I guess. We'll have to see who the new manager likes the look of. Craig, should Robbo be in the starting lineup Sunday? Think he's been off the pace since return, which is totally understandable. Worries me a bit. Alright, Barry, because it's you, I'm going to give you a little sneak of one part of my predictions for Manchester City on Sunday. I don't have Robertson in the team. I went with Gomez at left back. For the reasons you've said. Not because I think Robbo's finished. Nothing like that. I do think, though, he's still working his way back to his best form. And I think that's natural after a while out. So, for balance in the game, and, man's confident at the minute, I go Joe Gomez at left back. And again, that's no slight or slagging off of Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson is our first choice left back. But I don't think he has returned to his best yet. So, if we're going on form, then I think Gomez deserves the nod. No way Canade plays Sunday, said Philip. Do we replace him with Kwanzaa or Gomez? One replaces Canade's height, one replaces recovery pace. So, I probably agree with you, Philip, even though I do have Kanate in my team. I did qualify my statement by saying if he's not in there, I would replace him with Kwanzaa, and I would stick with Kwanzaa. The reason I'd side with Kwanzaa at centre-back is because he's played there alongside Virg quite a bit, and I feel like he's a good complement to Virgil van Dijk. And also because, as I mentioned a moment ago, Philip, I'd be putting Gomez on the left. TAA66, thank you so much for your super chat, my friend. Let me just give you a little heart on that first. There we go. Said Kelleher is good enough to challenge Alisson for number 1. He's definitely good enough to start somewhere else. Is there any more news on Kanade? We may, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just guessing, we may see something in the late papers. So keep an eye out about 10:30 for the embargoed stuff, the stuff that'll be going in tomorrow's newspapers. Jurgen said earlier on that Kanade had a scan, I think, but they don't know the results. Or certainly Jurgen didn't know the results of that scan. He also said that Kanade said to him that he felt something, but he felt if he had have kept playing or sprinted more, it could have led to being more of a problem. So the club wanted to be cautious in taking him off. Now, I agree with Philip from earlier on. I'd be pretty amazed if he plays the game. But let's wait and see what the scan shows up. Musiala would be great for Liverpool. Yes, he would. Musiala or Wirtz would be most welcome. Craig, why Liverpool don't opt for Paul Mitchell? He was highly on Liverpool's radar since last year, but this has died out. Now, obviously, I don't know the answer to this, but I'm just trying to give you an educated guess. So, Paul Mitchell, former Monaco sporting director, his name has been linked to a lot of roles in recent times, and never really ended up being pushed forward for any of them. You hear things, right? But I don't know these things to be fact. So what I would say respectfully is, it doesn't feel to me like he would fit in with the culture of the way FSG want to do things. I think that's the best way I can phrase it. And also with the Richard Hughes thing, I know some people might feel like it's underwhelming somewhat, and people look at the players he brought into Bournemouth, whatever, and some feel good, some feel bad, some feel in the middle. But it's about people who can complement each other, work well together. And if it is Hughes working underneath Edwards, that's a good thing for the club. We get continuity again. We get people who understand their roles, understand what needs to be done at Liverpool. And let's be honest, when Michael Edwards came to the club 10 years ago or 11 years ago, nobody really knew that much about him. Yes, he'd been at Spurs for 2 years, I think under Comolli, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he started off at Portsmouth before that, where they brought in one of the data companies. I can't remember which one it was. And he's grown in prominence since. So if FSG believe Richard Hughes is the right fit, then I've no reason to doubt that he'll come in and do a very good job. He's not a footballer. I know sometimes these days CEOs or sporting directors are almost glamorous in themselves since Monchi pretty much, but just because he hasn't worked at a club like Liverpool yet doesn't mean he can't be very good in his job at analysing the data, at looking between the lines maybe as to finding these players like your Mohamed Salahs. Remember, Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp wanted Julian Brandt, but it was, I think, Hunter or Fallows, one of them two, either Dave Hunter or is it Hunter or Fallows, one of those two. It's Barry Hunter and Dave Fallows, isn't it? Yeah, sorry, I'm getting my wires crossed. Pushed really hard with Michael Edwards to show Klopp the data around Salah. And after much to-ing and fro-ing, Klopp agreed and Mohamed Salah was signed, and the rest is history. Which two players from City are you most concerned about? Foden, and De Bruyne, probably, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't say Haaland not because I'm not concerned. He'll get chances one way or the other. He's a centre forward. It's going to happen from him. He's going to get some chances. But I think Foden's the one that worries me. You know, he's in really good form. He has history of scoring against us in these games. If my memory's not mistaken on that, at least I have recollections of it. And there's always a player or two from City that have worried me. I used to be very worried about Leroy Sané coming off the bench at City. So yeah, for me, Foden and De Bruyne will be the two. Rodri's a good shout as well, but you know, Endo will take care of Rodri. Again, news around Leicester City, and Mark's just sent this in to me to say Leicester City will receive a substantial points deduction upon their return to the Premier League. This is weird. Like, Leicester apparently could have had a points deduction last year, but they kicked the can down the road with their accounts or something. And now it seems like they're about to come back up to the Premier League and will straight away be hit with a points deduction. It feels weird at the minute, right? You see Forest, Everton, Leicester, but everybody still asks the question. All very well and good, but what about 115 charges, FC? I don't know the answers to these questions, but I think people are right to ask them. Sorry, just getting back to my notes here. So again, just to confirm exactly what David Ornstein said, he said, Michael Edwards close to agreeing senior role with FSG, including oversight of Liverpool's footballing operations. If he accepts, Richard Hughes is set to join Liverpool as the new sporting director. Not done, but talks advancing and resolution expected early next week. So, ideal weekend looks like this. Beat Manchester City on Sunday. Get the announcement about Edwards and Hughes on Monday, Tuesday. And then we build up towards the Manchester United game. I know we've got the little matter of Sparta Prague at Anfield, but, you know, that'll be somewhat understated affair because of the whooping that was handed out in the first leg. Barry, how are you not a mod, by the way? Shit, sorry, mate. Let me add you in there. Unless you don't want to be, in which case I can remove it if you want, Barry, but you are now added as a moderator, mate. Oil Classico this weekend, Craig, said Al Helmi. Or Ali Helmi, excuse me. Chelsea and Newcastle, is it? I was trying to think there. Oil Classico, Chelsea and Newcastle. That's an interesting game, actually, but I guess I don't even know what Chelsea's aims are for the rest of the season. Surely to win the FA Cup, because their only chance of getting back into Europe, realistically. But I was looking at the league table earlier on. I still don't understand how United were getting this, I guess, the plaudits for their Champions League race being back on. I looked at that league table and best case scenario, if England get the 5th place, United have, if Spurs win the game in hand, I think 7 points to make up, maybe more. I don't see any way that United get into those Champions League places. I do see a chance that they end up in the Europa Conference League, though. And remember, they were very fortunate a couple of seasons ago not to end up in the Conference League. West Ham shit the bed on the last day of the season, and if West Ham had won, United would have been in the Conference League. But that's my dream, that we have to see all this stuff about New Trafford and that stadium, all these managers and appointments they want to bring in. Meanwhile, they're stuck in the Europa Conference League. That's the dream in the summer, for United to be floundering around for me in the Europa Conference League. Because I said this to Ben earlier on, right? If you're in the Europa Conference League, and I guess somewhat the Europa League to us as well, it's a no-win situation. You're expected to win the Conference League if you're a top English club. So if United are in it, if they don't win it, you become a laughingstock somewhat. And I think for us, when we were in the Europa League this year, I said the same. We have to go and show that we are too good for this competition and go and win it. Anything else isn't good enough. So yeah, let's see if United can avoid that fate of being in the Europa Conference League, because, oh God, it would make my summer. How do you become a moderator, if that's okay to ask? It's usually just noticing people have been on streams for a long time, you know, knowing that they're trustworthy, reliable people, and also that they have the time for it, mate. You know, sometimes people don't like to be moderators. Sometimes people just want to sit back and have fun on the streams and not have to worry about the chat, and that's understandable as well. What's your score prediction for the game? I feel like I'm giving out too much information here. Nobody's going to watch the preview. I've gone for Liverpool to edge a 5-goal thriller. That's my prediction for the game. I know in recent years sometimes these have been more dull affairs, but with this being the last battle at Anfield between these two managers, between Pep and Klopp, I don't want us to be respectful or to try and cancel them. I want us to go balls out, 100 miles an hour, harness the power of Anfield, all the emotion that's involved in it, and just be at it from minute one. Obviously, we don't want any early cards or anything like that. You know, I don't want this game being decided because, let's say, Endo picked up an early yellow. Don't want him to be on a tightrope and not be able to make challenges in midfield. So, I think firm but fair, if that makes any sense, to quote Mills Lane. Ashley Dooley, thank you, Ashley, for your super chat. Said, for me, Kelleher starts when Alisson is fit. Kelleher deserves the shirt, and it's hard to believe I'm saying this, but Alisson has to win the shirt back. Kelleher has been absolutely brilliant. It's a big statement. Now, I have to say, Ashley, you're not the only person I've seen say this, but I don't think I agree. Respectfully, I don't think I agree. I'm amazed at how good Kelleher's been, and so proud, but Ali's the best in the world, in my opinion, and I would feel like it's underwhelming and unfair if Ali doesn't get the jersey back. But I do totally appreciate your point. In an outfield position, I would say it's his shirt. So when Trent comes back, I'm thinking, does he walk straight back in and take that position off Bradley, or does he go into midfield then? So usually I would err on the side of whoever's in form and has the shirt. But for the goalkeeper, I don't know what that message that would send. I don't know how Alisson would react to that. And I don't know if that would start to destabilise him as a new manager comes in as well. So it'd be a tricky one. Best stream on the internet, Craig. Keep it going. I'm spreading the word. Mark, thank you. Mark O'Rourke. Appreciate you, mate. That means a lot. We got a couple more tickets sold today as well for the Boston show. We get an update every couple of days from Ticketmaster, which gives us an update on how the tickets are going and stuff. So delighted with that. So fingers crossed we can start to fill up that venue, as we are now just 2 weeks to the day away from our show in Boston. The first time we've ever done a show outside of Ireland, only the second show we've ever done, and cannot wait to get over to the city of Boston. If you would like to come and join us for the show, well, you know, you can get the tickets via Ticketmaster. If you're on there, just search Anfield Agenda, and of course there's a link in the description as well. I got a close mate that's a United fan, tortured me last season with the Europa League song. I can't wait for next season. But that's what they're supposed to do, right? And that's what we're supposed to do to them as well, Kevin. That's proper football banter. And I have to say that Europa League song is quite catchy. The Thursday nights are Europa nights. That does get stuck in your head a bit, but it has nothing compared to the champions. We want to hear that back next season, right? So, anybody see anything about these plans for New Old Trafford? Apparently Jim Ratcliffe's plan there at United is to try and rebuild a new stadium, but on the same area. And it's going to require some, what they call, I think, private-public partnerships or something like that. Let's wait and see how the plans work out, and who pays for it. Because obviously I don't think they're going to get taxpayer money. And as Mark said, yes, don't forget to download SofaScore as well. Highly recommended by us, highly recommended by other YouTubers as well. And every one of you that downloads the SofaScore app does help us out financially, and it costs you absolutely nothing. It is a free app, and the feedback that I've gotten from people who've downloaded the app, even our friends in America, one of the guys said, I'd pay $9.99 for this app. I've been using another app for years, and this app blows it away. Right, so we did ask you to vote for who you think, or what you think Caoimhín Kelleher's current transfer value is. We've another half an hour left on the stream, but we're going to keep it open. Right now, the majority of you, over 50%, think that Caoimhín Kelleher's value is £35 million plus. And I love it. I love it. Craig, do you think Brentford can get a draw versus Arsenal? My initial instinct is no. I think Arsenal win. But I don't know if the result at Anfield, however that goes, will register with Arsenal and will increase the pressure. So let's say one of the two teams wins the game, us or City, and it's not a draw. Somebody wins it. Arsenal are under even more pressure then to make sure that they get those 3 points. And yes, Brentford can be tricky, but I can't see past Arsenal winning. They're at home. They're free scoring at the minute. Defensively, they look solid. Brentford have had a bit of an up and down season. I think Arsenal win it 4-1, maybe, something like that. Oh, and there, Ali in the chat put in the same score as I was guessing. Ali Helmy said Arsenal 4, Brentford 1. Great minds, my friend. Great minds. Craig, love your content. Thank you, Dania. Or, excuse me, Dana. My apologies, Dana. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Still feels weird, people saying, love your content. Best content creator. It feels so weird to be doing this for a living. I mean, weird in an amazing way. Like, count my blessings every day. Like, but still can't believe that we are closing in on 250,000 in our community. How did we get here? It's mad. And to those of you that have been with us throughout this journey, I mean, wow, what a few years it's been. You know, the highs and lows and moments we've all shared have been incredible. Still, my favourite one is the Barcelona night. I think that's the only time I've cried on stream about a result. It was amazing. The United 7-0. Still, I use that as a screensaver. Still have it as the WhatsApp group that me, Ben and Connor are in together, just to remind Ben, you know, Drawdy, that, hey Drawdy, I know you're a United fan, but 7-0. And he hates me for that, but, you know, he wouldn't respect me if I didn't. Honestly, it's been, outside of my wife and kids, this has been the proudest accomplishment of my life. To have gone from having no hope, no future, nothing on the horizon, to building up a business, to employing people, to share moments with you guys every day, to talk about the sport and the club that I love, and to actually have some self-esteem again. Amazing. And as I always say, you know, I don't know how we got here. Don't know how the channel's grown to this size. But we're going to keep working to make you proud and to make sure that you guys feel that you back the right horse. And yeah, it's been an incredible time, but we've tried to cultivate in the right way and make sure that the chat is full of people that are here to contribute to the chat and to each other and to be nice, kind human beings. You know us, we don't have time for assholes. We don't want them in our community. And we probably could have more subscribers than we do with them in it, but it's been about doing things for us in the right way, because nothing is worse than, let's say, a parent letting their kid into her chat and it being filled with horrible, disgusting shit. I've seen other YouTube chats at times and I wouldn't want to be part of it. So we tried to do it in a way that, I know I'm not wholesome, right? I know I swear and all, but you don't get me preaching hate negativity on here. I never will, because it's not the way I'm built. But yeah, thank you again. I feel like, honestly, this is somebody else's life at the minute. It's mental. What's the story Edwards in? Dylan, give me 2 seconds, mate, and I will get the information for you. Right. So it started off today with a couple of things. Some posts from Mr. Ornstein and some posts from Mr. Joyce. David Ornstein of The Athletic said, Michael Edwards close to agreeing senior role with FSG, including oversight of Liverpool football operations. If he accepts, Richard Hughes is set to join as Liverpool's sporting director. Not done, but talks are advancing and a resolution is expected early next week. Now, to follow on from this a little bit more, The Athletic have also written, it was Edwards who pushed hard for the signing of Mohamed Salah from Roma and convinced Klopp he would light up the Premier League. He also secured deals for the transformative duo of Alisson Becker and Virgil van Dijk, as well as bringing in the likes of Sadio Mane, Andy Robertson, Fabinho, and of course Ibrahima Kanade. A little bit more on this. Some people are saying that they find it fascinating. Ben Kelly tweeted, say, fascinating that he's coming back immediately after Klopp leaves, which I guess poses that question. Were they button heads? Because I don't want to say they fall out with each other, because I don't think either of them will be that petty, but was there something else to that? I don't know. Also, I don't really care at this point, because it's worked out quite well overall for all of us. And then finally, The Athletic have also said, the owners always admired Michael Edwards and his ability to take emotion out of decision-making processes, and the fact he was never shy to question and challenge other senior figures, including Jurgen Klopp. So that's where we're at the minute. It's looking like, as David Ornstein said, maybe we get the announcement early in the week of the Dream Team duo of Michael Edwards overseeing football operations and Richard Hughes to come in as the new sporting director. Jay said, Craig, I love you, bro. Thank you, mate. Right back to you. Appreciate you. Craig, I think you're a good human being. Thank you, Imran. Look, I'm a hothead, Imran, and I say shit sometimes that will get me in trouble because I say what I feel. I do. I don't really have a filter. I say what I feel. But I also, how do I phrase this? I can't tell you how important it is to me, just as a person, that I'm able to look in the mirror every night, and I'm able to look at my kids, and I'm able to know that I've tried to do things in the right way. Won't always do it the right way, but I care. I try. And to see people like your good self and others say that they appreciate it and, they understand my faults and stuff means a lot, mate. It really does. So, Craig, collab with Leo's goals. So, I've said this many times before. 1, we've done a collaboration. 2, often these things are nice to be reciprocated. And 3, I've been incredibly busy with lots of stuff going on. We like Leo. We think he's a great content creator. But we're just really busy at the minute. Like, we have projects going on behind the scenes that I can't talk about yet, but that I think are going to, again, push our channel into a new level of interactivity that nobody else is able to do yet. You have kids. Yes, sir. I have a 19-year-old daughter who's almost 20, and I have a 12-year-old son called Lucas, who, like myself, is on the autism spectrum. Love. My family are everything to me, mate. Everything. That's what I do this for. That's what I get up out of bed for them, to make them proud, to give them a better life, and also to thank them for the sacrifices they make to allow me to do this. We need more straight talking people like you in the world. Sometimes, though, it's difficult to say things as you see them or be blunt about it, because I'll give you an example, right? I can have a take on Anfield Agenda about football that, if I was to weigh up the options, I'd say, well, you might alienate 50% of the people in the chat with this opinion. So then you say, do I say the opinion? Do I speak what I believe to be true? Or do I play the game? And we've never played the game. We've always gone on the side of, I can only be authentically me. If people don't like it and turn away from it for one thing, then they probably weren't going to be here long term anyway. That's the way we've tried to play it. And again, not to knock anybody else. There's a lot of people do their own thing, but yeah, this is more to me than just work or a job. It's it's truly a community, and that's the best word I can use for it. We are at 639 likes as well, by the way. So if you haven't hit the like button, folks, please do. And again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We are 2,990 away from 250,000. I still laugh when I say that number. Craig, your kids are the same age as my grandkids. There you go. There you go. So I'm an only child, so I grew up with no brothers and sisters. My parents just couldn't have any more kids. You know, they both came from fairly big families and probably, you know, would have had 3, 4, 5 kids. But, you know, I was very lucky to be born. So I also knew the downsides of being an only child. So when myself and my wife, you know, had our first child, I wanted a second one because there's no way I wanted to inflict being an only child on somebody else. And a little bit of an inside story, I guess, on this one. We used to live in another part of Wexford. It was a far more isolated part of Wexford, and life was tough for us back then. You know, we were really, really broke. My wife's father had cancer at the time, and it was tough. And we couldn't have our second kid. We just couldn't. You know, we went and had medical tests. We had everything done. And then we moved house. We got a transfer from the council and we moved house to where we're in now, which is about halfway between where we used to live and my wife's parents in Dublin. So a really good area, a catchment area for us to just zoom up and down if need be. So we moved into this house in February or March, and it's where we wanted to be. And then the next month, Sabrina fell pregnant with Lucas. And all we can think was it was the stress of being unhappy and of everything else that was going on that, you know, we almost wanted the second child too much. So we promised each other that by the time Sabrina turned 31, if she wasn't pregnant by the time she had 31, we'd knock it on the head. Because we didn't want to be old and have kids. We wanted to have kids at a young point in our lives so we can enjoy the latter years that we have. And she found out she was pregnant a couple of weeks before her 31st birthday. I don't know what else to say about that, but it was just incredible. We were in a house in a place we loved living. We're closer to our folks. Her dad recovered from the cancer, and we had a little beautiful baby boy on the way. Like, just amazing. It's because you're so interactive with your followers. See, I look at that as a cheat code though, Dave, because you are my content. Like, other people come on and they'll do great monologues. They'll speak for 20 minutes about stuff. I've never been able to do that. I depend on the chat to feed off, because that's how I started in my very first stream. I came to YouTube not knowing what a YouTuber was, not knowing what football content was. So I turned on the camera and I talked. People popped in, handful at first, and we just chatted 3-4 hours at times. That's how the channel built up, and that's the only type of content I know how to make. Today marks my 3-year anniversary watching the channel. Nice, Irfan. Thank you. And thank you for being with us for 3 years, mate. What a journey. Are you going ballsy in your match preview tomorrow? I think I've been fairly reasonable in the preview. I said I did have Liverpool to shade at 5-goal thriller. That's my scores. But yeah, the rest will be out at 10 a.m. in the morning. Evening, Craig. Just had my second boy last week. Tired, but love the story you just told. Glad we had a second. I'm so happy for you, Jamie. That's awesome, mate. And also, we ended up with a perfect family as well. You know, a boy and a girl. Which my wife's family is like that as well. And very similar in that my wife's the elder sibling, and her brother's 2.5 years younger than her. So, yeah, it's perfect. We've a boy, we've a girl. They're all healthy and good and amazing. I just love life. And also, my little son. You know, I know I talk about him being on the spectrum a lot of the time, but honestly, the dude is amazing. Like, my son is the most witty, sharpest, funny, caring, savage of a young man. Like, his banter game is on point. Like me, as a temper, But they're both just incredibly good people. My daughter's wonderfully caring and sincere young lady who we're immensely proud of. It's been a joy watching both of them grow up. You actually listen to your fan base. See, I don't think of it as a fan base ever, mate. I think of it as friends. I don't think I'm up here and you're down here. I've never thought like that. We're all on the same level. I just almost think of myself as like the conductor who just pulls the chat, talks about it, and goes back in. You know, I don't think I'm anything special. I'm a normal fella, and I'm very lucky. Craig, I have autism. I just seem to say what I want without realising. I'm similar. My mum told me growing up, because she didn't know, obviously. She just told me all the time my mouth's going to get me in trouble. And I can see why she said it, to be fair. But sometimes what's happened to me, mate, is I'd be in an environment as a teenager or a kid, and I just say something really, like if I'm talking to somebody and they're boring me, I just say something like, I'm going to leave now because I'm not enjoying this. And I just leave. And people just look at me and go, well, he's a sharp, horrible little shit, isn't he? But like you, I just didn't have a filter. I just said how I felt. I didn't know how to mask it. I didn't get the whole white lie thing. It's just like, well, this is how I feel. I say how I feel. Am I going to watch the AJ fight? Yes. I'm going to say my goodnight to you all now, actually. And I'm going to go and enjoy the top two fights of that AJ Bill. So, just to remind you, tomorrow is my day off here on the channel. So we will be back at 2:15 on Sunday for our coverage of the watch along. We're starting an hour and a half beforehand because we think it deserves a big build up. The preview will be out at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And two things just before we finish up. If you haven't, please do check out Anfield Agenda clips. Channel's absolutely flying. Loads of good content up on there as well. If you enjoy what we do here, hopefully you enjoy the shorter form of it over there. And also, SofaScore. Don't forget, use the link at the top of the chat in the description or scan the QR code on screen. It is a brilliant app. It'll form part of our content moving forward as well. And we appreciate your time tonight. Have a wonderful weekend. I can't wait to catch up with you all on Sunday. Fingers crossed we get the result we wanted. It's been a really cool night tonight again. Thank you. Talk to you.